SEO analytics is critical to improving your performance and also maximizing the budget that you're spending. I'm going to break down the components of SEO analytics and how you can get the data and insights you need to ultimately maximize your investment in SEO. So we'll start with what is SEO analytics. So really the way I think about it is in two components. There's tracking and then there's measurement and analysis. So for tracking, what we're trying to accomplish is making sure we have all of the critical metrics and data that we want to evaluate our campaigns available and tracked properly. Now, there's going to be a few different data sources you might utilize, which we'll get into. But the main goal here is to make sure anything that you want to be able to see, any data point is tracked and it's tracked accurately. The second piece is once that data is tracked, we want to have a way of visualizing it and also interpreting what's happening. And that's where your reporting and analysis process is going to come in. So we'll start with tracking. So for tracking, there's really two essential tools to get you started. And both of them are free. It's going to be Google Analytics 4 and Google Search Console. Using both of those tools, you can get very far with SEO analytics and tracking and reporting. It's going to have almost all of the metrics you really need. Now, there's some nice to have tools on top of that. So one of them would be a keyword tracking tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs or really any of the other ones that are out there. With those, you could set up keyword rank tracking to track movement on a specific set of keywords. Now, you can get some of that data for free using Google Search Console, but those tools are a nice supplement and complement to those other analytics platforms. Now, the other nice to have tools would be Keyword Hero, which Keyword Hero allows you to map your organic keywords to conversions. So it'll unlock a lot of the not provided keywords in Google Analytics. So here's an example where we could see some of the keywords, the landing page that those keywords drove to from organic search, and then we actually have our Google Analytics metrics mapped to that. So really the big advantage of a tool like this is we can map keywords to conversions. So here I can see this keyword GA4 audit drove one conversion. And the landing page for that was a blog post. So this blog post and this keyword have driven one of the conversions for the month. So that's really, again, the advantage of this. I could start to break down which keywords are converting and which ones are just driving traffic and clicks. And then you could pull this data into other tools as well. Another tool that's another nice to have is SEO testing. So if you're running SEO tests like title tag and meta description testing, or really any on-page optimization that you're doing, this tool can make it easier to track the changes and what's actually happening. So this is an example here where we're tracking this keyword and we can see before and then after the on-page optimization and changes what actually happened. So some of the metrics are clicks per day. So here we can see clicks per day went from under 2 to about 9. This is showing site clicks. Then we have impressions per day, which just about doubled. Average position actually went down slightly, but that was mostly due to us actually ranking for more keywords. And then click-through rate went way up. We went from 1.3 to 3.3%. So this would be an example where we can clearly see the changes we made worked. It's nice to have a variety of metrics because sometimes if you focus on just one, you might not get the complete picture. Like if we only looked at average position, we don't actually have the other factors that we're actually getting more clicks, way more clicks, despite seeing average position go down slightly. Here's just another example. If we scroll through, we can see same kind of thing. Clicks per day went from 58 to about 114. Then we can see impressions per day. Average position improved slightly, and then our click-through rate went up, and then queries per day also. So this is an example with all the metrics going up. Sometimes you might see everything went down, and then you know you need to make another change. So again, these tools, you can do a lot of what these tools do using Google Search Console and creating some formulas in either Google Sheets or Looker Studio. These tools just kind of make it easier and quicker to do some of this analysis. So from a tracking standpoint with GA4 and Google Search Console, there's a few things that we typically like to set up. So Google Search Console is the most straightforward and streamlined. Really, we're just verifying our property. And once that's done, we're going to get the keyword data and query data in the performance reports. So there's not much to it in terms of tracking here. We just want to make sure we have our property verified and we have access to this keyword data, which we're going to use later on in the reporting and analysis process. Google Analytics 4 is when you're going to need to set up more custom tracking. So we're going to go through a quick setup here and just some of the key things I look for. So the first thing is making sure the base tracking code, which you're going to get under data streams, is installed on your website. That's going to give you the basic data. So you have a couple options there. You could install this code manually. Typically, the best option though is to install Google Tag Manager and then add your measurement ID inside of a tag in Tag Manager. It's just going to make it more efficient, more streamlined if you're going to adjust tags down the line. Now, enhanced measurement is something you're going to want to make sure is on. Google by default is going to give you more events than Universal Analytics did. We used to have to create a lot of these, like outbound link clicks, file downloads, video engagement, and scroll depth tracking manually using Google Tag Manager. But Google is giving you a lot of that out of the box. You just have to make sure you opt into it. Now, the form tracking they give you isn't always accurate. So I think it's worth actually verifying that and potentially setting that piece up manually. Here, there's a few other things to note. You could also set up IP tracking filtering here. So under configure tag settings, this could be a good option to make sure your internal traffic is not showing up in your reports, kind of inflating your organic traffic numbers. So you're just going to go to define internal traffic and then create a new filter and then add your IP address. So I have one already set up, but here you have some options. You could do equals to, paste your IP in and give it a name. I have mine set up already, so we're just going to discard that. And those are kind of the main things in this section. The other things I would check in here are data settings. So data retention, I like to set to 14 months instead of the standard 2 months, which is going to give us a little bit longer of a window in certain reports. Data collection, if you want to opt into Google Signals, you have the option to do that here. And really this gives you some additional data that you can utilize. So these are just simply opting in, but it's worth reviewing the details first before doing that. And that's really it. Only other thing I would look at is product linking. So I like to link Google Search Console to GA4. So you can get some of your Google Search Console data right in here. And then if you have a Google Ads account, this is also a good time to set that up. And the final piece of tracking, which is the most important, is event tracking. So you're going to get some metrics by default as we looked at with enhanced measurement. So page views, scroll depth, video starts, that's going to come by default just by enabling enhanced measurement. Really what you want to do here is make sure your conversions or any valuable action that a user is taking on your website, making sure there's an event tracking that. So in my case, I only have a few. It's really a form submission, a calendar link click, and then an assessment for Google Analytics that I have set up. So those are the 3 custom events that I created. And then you can mark those events as conversions right here. So again, I only like to mark events that are the things I'm trying to drive towards, whether it's a lead magnet or some type of offer on my website, to mark those as conversions. You don't want to mark everything because really the conversion reporting, which we're going to get to later, this is going to have a big impact on that. If you mark, let's say, page views as conversions, it's really going to clutter up your conversion data and it's going to be a little harder to analyze. So only mark those critical actions as conversions. Now, we're not going to cover event tracking here. Like you could use Google Tag Manager, which is a great option. There's actually an event builder right here inside of GA4 you could also use. So you could see some of these events were just based on either link clicks and the domains there or a thank you page. So this is like a simple and quick way to do event tracking right inside of GA4. But you could also do a little bit more in-depth tracking using Google Tag Manager. So now that we have those key data points tracked, this is where we're going to actually start to shift into reporting and analysis. So again, we have our data set up. We have the key metrics that we want to track. And typically for KPIs, the things I like to think about for SEO are going to be your conversion metrics, which is always going to be first. So again, those could be different form submissions. It could be content downloads, lead magnets, booking sales calls, whatever it is. You want to make sure those are tracked so we could attribute those to organic search. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we want to make sure what we're doing is driving business results. And that's really where those conversions are going to come in. So those are always going to be my first KPIs, are going to be those conversion metrics and then the conversion rates. Then we're going to look at engagement and traffic metrics. So for KPIs, I really like organic clicks from Search Console, organic sessions. I also like to track impressions from Google Search Console because it's a good way to gauge overall visibility when you look at the long-term trends. Using Search Console, we can also track brand clicks and non-brand clicks, which is a good way to segment out brand awareness versus the SEO work that you're doing. So those are kind of my core metrics. And what we're going to do next is after our tracking is set up, we want to actually visualize that data and create a report. And really for reporting for SEO, there's a lot of ways you can do it. This is my preferred method and kind of approach, is to start off with a summary and the insights. So if you're doing this for clients, or even if you're just reporting to your leadership team, starting off with the summary, the insights of what you've been doing, what's happening. And really the most important part of that though is what are you going to do next based on the data? So tying that together up front can really set the stage and set the story of kind of what's happening and where we're going to go to continue to improve performance. So after that, I like to start with just overall website reporting. The reason I do that instead of just diving right into SEO is I want to have context on how all the other marketing channels are working. If all the other marketing channels are increasing and doing well and SEO is going down, that would be a cause to investigate. If everything's going down, we might want to investigate market conditions or just the business as a whole, and vice versa. If everything's going up, it gives us some insights into what could also be impacting SEO outside of the direct work that we're doing. So I'll track things like just overall conversions by month. In this case, my most important conversion is calendar bookings. So I'm tracking that by month. And then we have just overall traffic to the website. I want to see, is that growing? Is it declining? What do the trends look like? From there, I like to have a deeper dive into why that's happening. So we'll look at the channel reporting here, where this is going to show us our top traffic sources. And then on the right, we're going to see which channels have the best conversion rates. So this can give me a lot of insight into where I may want to invest more into. So in this case, we could see my referral traffic has the best conversion rate by far. So this would be worth investigating. First, where are those referral sources coming from? And then can I do more to get more traffic from those sources since it converts so well? Video is an interesting one. It's my third highest traffic source, but it does have a better conversion rate than organic search. And it's significantly behind in terms of overall traffic. Now, again, these session numbers are fairly low, but the point there being, this might be worth investing more into, seeing if I can drive the traffic up because it does convert well. And then here, what would be something that would be glaring, if organic search, our biggest channel, had no conversions, that would be worth investigating. Okay, we're going to need to figure out how do we actually drive leads or conversions from this channel. There's just a good way to get a quick snapshot of what's happening everywhere. I also really like looking at this. So if traffic was up or down month to month, I want to know what's happening with each channel. So in this case, organic is up, direct is down, video is up, and referral traffic's down, and then organic social is down. So here we can see it's kind of mixed performance. Sometimes what you'll see is almost every channel is either down and then organic is up, or vice versa. Maybe every other channel is up and organic is down. And that's more of a cause to investigate. If we see every channel doing the same thing, there could be some seasonality or some external factors. So it's really nice to know this before doing the SEO analytics deep dive. So then after that, now that we have the context of what's happening as a whole, I like to go through a series of metrics before getting into SEO, before getting into next steps and opportunities. So I like to look at overall trends for SEO. So we can see organic traffic and clicks, but really at this point, I want to start diving into specific landing pages, content, and keywords. So I could start to evaluate why are things increasing or decreasing and where do we need to improve. So the first thing I'll look at is landing pages. Similar to the channel report, I want to see what are the landing pages driving the most traffic from organic search and what are the ones driving the most conversions. So here again, same thing. We could see we have this blog. That's actually our top blog in terms of traffic, but it's not showing up in the top 5 in terms of conversions. So this might be one where I need to look at the lead magnet or the offer that I have in that blog to see if I can drive conversions. And we might see other ones where they're driving low traffic, but they are driving conversions. That's another sign to investigate. This will give me just kind of month-to-month snapshot of if I see a decrease, I might want to investigate. Maybe I need to re-optimize that blog or improve it or page. Or if I see one that's growing fast, it's good to keep an eye on that to see if we need to do anything else to amplify it or if it's just going to continue to grow. So I also like to do a chart now that's just looking at tactics and things we're doing. So in this case, really all we've done so far is publish blogs. So I want to track as a whole, how is our blog production doing? And you could see here things peaked and there's been a little bit of a decline over the past 4 months or 5 months. And we know the reason. It's we stopped publishing around April or May. And since then, we've slowly started to see a decline. So what this tells me is I need to refresh some of these blogs, and we also need to get back to our content production that we were doing. I like to have features like cross-filtering. So this is a feature where we can click on one individual blog post here and see how that individual post is trending. So this one is trending well. So we're seeing consistent improvements up in organic traffic. This is one that's actually declining. So this would be one I want to dive deeper into and see, do I need to refresh this post? Is there new competing articles that have overtaken me in search results? But this individual page performance tracking can give you some insights into where you need to focus. So then we get to keyword performance. So here I like to really use Google Search Console, but you could also use some of those rank tracking tools. We built this little report that does cross-filtering again. So the power of this is not at the aggregate numbers here. It's more clicking into individual keywords. So if I click on the first one, GA4 for SEO, I'll see my rankings, my average position, and then how many clicks I'm getting from that keyword. So this is one where things are going well. A few months ago, we were barely ranking. We were in page 6 or 7. Then we slowly started trickling up. We got to page 2. And then in August, we got to page 1. And now we've moved up into the top 3. And then we could see how that's translating into clicks. As we've moved higher up onto the first page, this is where the actual clicks are coming from. So this is a really good way to dig into individual keywords. So here's another one, how to use GA4 for SEO. These will be ones where right now I'm probably just going to maintain. We're going to look at like this keyword here, GA4 audit checklist. This is one where I'm actually declining. So we could see we were in the top position for quite a while and we slowly started to drop. So this is one that's going to be worth looking at. What I would typically do here is type this keyword into Google and see who else is showing up and who's overtaken those top 3 spots. And then we can start to reverse engineer, what do we need to do to this page that's ranking to improve it? It could be we need to refresh it. Maybe the content's a little bit outdated since this was published back in January. Maybe we need to add something new to the content. Maybe we need more media in it, videos. Maybe we need more backlinks. Maybe there's just more competition, more articles that have higher authority and higher backlinks. But this is how you could start to dig into and come up with those recommendations using the data on what to do next. Where typically, if you just publish this blog and you kind of set it and forget it and don't look at it again, you're not necessarily going to be able to make those changes to reverse this. So since we have a good eye on this and we have the data, we're able to see clearly that this one's declined and we need to put some effort into this to get this back into those top positions. Because we were getting, at the peak, almost 50 clicks for this one keyword. And the other thing too is this article doesn't rank just for one keyword. There's tens, if not 20, sometimes close to 50 keywords for some of these posts. So really the traffic starts to stack up when you start adding multiple keywords together. So this really is going to be that deep dive into all the keywords I'm ranking for. And like if we do this one, GA4 versus Universal Analytics, here's one where we're not getting traffic yet, but we have been trending in the right direction. Progress has been a little slow the last 4 months, but we can see our average position is starting to trend up. So maybe there's something we could do to amplify this. Maybe it's link building, maybe it's a refresh, but this starts to give me the insight I need to make that decision. So impressions by position, this is a custom report we make. If you use Supermetrics or another connector, they have this data there as well. But basically it shows me how often I show up or how many impressions I have at each position on the first page, and then how many I have on page 2, page 3, and so on. Now, what I like to do is compare a period versus the prior period, and we can start to compare individual positions. So in position 1, I've shown up slightly more. Position 2, we've shown up more. Some of the big growth seems to have happened in like this 3 to 5 range. And then really a lot of my growth has been on page 2 to page 6. So this tells me a couple things. Visibility is improving as a whole, but also some of the new content that we've published that's not yet on page 1, it's starting to garner impressions in this page 2 to 5 area or page 2 to 6 area, which that could be a good sign that there is potential to get this onto page 1. We just need to figure out how do we go from page 2 to 5 and start to trickle that onto page 1 where we're actually going to see the traffic and lead impact. So this is like a nice high level way to just view visibility and the changes over time. Then we get to brand and non-brand. So this is another piece of SEO analytics that I like to have available is how are my non-brand clicks and impressions trending, and how are my brand clicks and impressions trending? Now these metrics tell me different things. Non-brand is typically going to be a good gauge of SEO efforts. So here again, we can see non-brand clicks peaked and now we're starting to see a decline. And a lot of that's just due to lack of activity. We haven't been publishing, we haven't been refreshing or optimizing. So that we're starting to see that decline. Impressions, though, are actually still trending up, which means a lot of the clicks we were getting, some of our keywords that were on page 1 have dropped into page 2. So we're still getting impressions, but we're not getting the clicks we were getting. So that's something we need to address and continue to try to improve. I like to see brand as well, mostly because this could be a good indication of brand awareness. In this case, it's been relatively steady. We haven't seen a ton of growth here, but this would be something that you either want to see remain steady if you have an established brand, but if you're an up and coming brand and you're doing brand awareness and trying to grow, you actually do want to see impressions and clicks trend up there as well, which could be just a good sign more people are searching for you directly, and it's a good thing to gauge. It's also important if organic traffic goes up or down. You want to know if that's due to non-brand or brand, because that can really point you in the right direction of what you need to do next. So these slides are all meant to give you a gauge of what's been happening. Then what I'd like to do in a report is start having more forward-looking data. So a couple ways you could do that are just by pre-filtering some of the data you might want to see that gives you some insight onto what to do next. So I'm a big fan of these two charts. The first one tells me the keywords that are on page 1 but have low click-through rates. These are ones that I'm probably going to want to test a new title tag and meta description, similar to how you would do ad copy testing. Because I'm already on page 1, I'm just getting very few clicks based on the impressions because my click-through rate is low, which usually again means my copy is not compelling enough to get those clicks. So this could be a good list of keywords to quickly sift through and make a recommendation on. The next set I like to look at is a lot of names for this. It could be striking distance keywords, basically keywords on the very bottom of page 1 or page 2. Sometimes even you could trickle onto page 3 here too. Because really what this is giving us is these are like the immediate short-term opportunities. We're close to getting traffic. We just need to figure out how to get these keywords onto page 1 where we're actually going to get the clicks. So again, tactically, a lot of things you could do to get those onto page 1. It could be optimization, could be refresh, could be backlinks. But this will get you started and will show you the keywords that you potentially should focus on. And then you could reverse engineer what the competitors are doing to figure out where you're not as strong with your content or with your backlink profile or authority. So usually what I do here also is I want to also sift through this for keywords that I think are going to have the most business impact or the most relevance to my audience. You don't want to just look at impressions typically. Impressions are important. It's a good gauge of search volume, but really I want to start with the keywords that I think are going to have the most impact on the business as a whole and start with those regardless of impressions and volume, and then go maybe after higher volume or less intent type keywords. So other growth opportunity reporting I like to do is landing pages that have high traffic but low conversion rates. Those could be good ones to try to optimize for conversions. And again, that could be a new offer for the page, a lead magnet. It could be a variety of things, but you want to figure out how you can get more activity and conversions out of those pages because they are getting a lot of traffic. This report I like as a good gauge of what's happening with all my channels. So the way this one works is anything in the top right corner is high traffic, high conversions. So basically there you want to continue doing what you're doing. So in this case, organic search is my leader here. So you could invest more there, or at the very least you want to maintain because you are getting traffic and conversions. Bottom right is high conversion but low traffic. So this could be a channel you want to actually invest more into because it is converting so well. Bottom left would be really not enough data yet to decide. So some of these channels, we really need more traffic and more data to determine if these are converting well. Upper left would be, in some cases, the worst case. It would be high traffic, little to no conversions. So these are ones you want to, instead of driving more traffic, you really want to figure out how do we actually get more leads and conversions out of these channels. Now, there could be a case where some of those channels are just brand awareness channels, and that's fine, but really you want to evaluate that. So this can give you a good feel for what's happening with all the channels that are driving traffic to your website. So I have some other reporting in here just for YouTube and social, but really for SEO, that's how I think about reporting. It's leading with insights and next steps, and then digging into what happened with the website as a whole, then what happened with your SEO traffic, and then ultimately what are the growth opportunities and next steps and the changes you can make to your strategy in order to continue to drive results. So again, with SEO Analytics, there's really those two phases. And these are ongoing things that evolve and adapt. You're tracking, typically you're going to do the bulk of that up front. And then as your website changes, there might be new events and new conversions you need to track. And then for measurement and analysis and reporting, that's also something you could evolve as you go. You might find that there's certain metrics where you're not taking any action on. So those would be ones I'd consider removing from your report. You really only want metrics that you're actually going to make a change and take an action. Otherwise, you're just overloading yourself with information and you're not actually making any changes that are going to be meaningful and actually improve your results. So we have a newsletter where we give away a free template each month. And if you want a copy of an SEO report template similar to this, just sign up for that newsletter and that'll allow you to get started and do this yourself. If you want a more done for you option, we do have a reporting as a service solution where we'll come in and create your Looker Studio reports for your clients or for your leadership team and actually write in the insights every month and save you all those hours that you can then focus on reinvesting in the campaigns and the actual work to continue to move the needle. So if that's of interest to you, just click one of the links below and we could schedule a 15-minute call to figure out if it's the right fit.